Hi guys! So for Die Cutting Essentials magazine issue 130, I was asked to create 3 cards using partial die cutting techniques. I was sent a link to a video which Jennifer Maguire posted. I will leave a link to her video in the description box below, and I was to work off her ideas. I was to create birthday cards. I was given the color scheme, as you can see in here. And let me show you what I've created. So for the first card I went with the DL card, and this one measures 7.5 by 3 3/4 inches, and you can see how the candles are partially die cut onto this strip in here. So the candles would have been longer if they are standalone die cuts. You can see how I left the bottom of them attached to this strip in here, and I think it's such a cool effect. So the Distress Oxide inks that I used was squeezed lemonade, wild honey, tumbled glass, and picked raspberry. And I think that went very well with my color scheme. Let me show you the die set first of all that I used to create this. So it is the Necessities Birthday Candles dies by Creative Expressions. We have 2 sentiments and we have 9 different candles, but the candles are attached. So we have sets of 3s. That's why you can see them coming in sets of 3s. But I do like that look actually. First I wasn't sure was I going to like it. I really do as I worked with it. So no, okay, that could work. And then I used this sentiment which says put another candle on your birthday cake. So I have die cut this partially, which is explained in the magazine step by step, even including pictures to this card, show you how I created this front panel. And then I die cut each candle 3 more times and I glued them behind for some dimension. And I also added 3 layers of strips of cards under this bit here to level up or even up that dimension with the candles. Then I ink blended over a piece of card some pink, blue and yellow, and I cut it into strips just so to place behind each candle, except this one because this one doesn't have a die cut. This one has an embossed detail on it. And then I've die cut the candles one more time, but just the top part of them because I only needed the flames of those. So what I did, I ink blended very just using some of these small ink blending brushes from Creative Craft Products. I love using these details like this. I added a bit of a wild honey in the middle and then I blended it out with squeezed lemonade. And now you can see how glittery they are, because once I glued them on top of the candles, I added glossy accents to them. I will include some close-up pictures and close-up video footage of this at the end of this video, so you'll be able to pick up on all that shine and sparkle a little bit more. But what I did is I added glossy accents before it dried. I just sprinkled some glitter on it with my fingers like that, and it adds the lovely glittery glossy effect to the candle flames. For the background, I've cut a piece of card to 7.25 by 3.5, and I ink blended picked raspberry and tumbled glass on it. Pick an embossing folder from Chloe's Creative Cards, and this one is the star background. I got this with the wrong packaging. It says swirly snowflakes, but it's not. This one is the star background actually, and I really love this one. And it's great for birthday cards as well, for anything celebration. It doesn't have to be a Christmas embossing folder. I use this a lot in my mix, just like you can see in there. I embossed it, and then I went through, and then I used my brayer and some white pigment ink just to lighten up those raised areas in there. For the sentiment, I've die cut it 4 times from white card, glued 3 of them together and heat embossed with clear embossing powder. And then for the last one, I added squeezed lemonade too, and I glued them on top of each other. And I glued the squeezed lemonade behind the white one, but offsetting slightly. Can you see that? that sets it away from those colors in the background so nicely. And then I added an extra layer of card, and there's just a white card which is slightly bigger than this panel, and I edged it with Crystalina glitter. You can see that it can burn. I don't know if you can pick up in here, but stay tuned to the end of this video. I finished off decorating with some white pearls, and that finishes my first card. How cool is this? I really love this technique. For card number 2, I created a circle card, because in this commission I was asked to make one of my cards circle, one square, and one of my choosing. So we had a DL card, and this one is a circle card, and it stands up beautifully. So I'm going to show you first what I used. For the card base and all the circle layers, Scalloped and Pierced Circles by Chloe's Creative Cards. For the cupcake and all the decorations, I used this cupcake die set by Marianne Designs, and I'm not sure what the name of this one is. It says collectibles and then just gives me this number in here, COL1481. So I'm not sure what the name of this is. I'm just going to call it the cupcake builder. It's so cute. There's so many different ways you can create cupcakes. I went with a cherry on top today. So I've die cut into a strip of card, similarly like before, the base of the cupcake. So the base of the cupcake would be much deeper if it was a standalone base, because I left the bottom of it attached to this strip of card. You can see it's a bit shorter. Now I then die cut this strip with a circle die to fit my card. So the scallop circles that I used to create my card base measure 5 1/4 inch, and I die cut it twice, and I've die cut that scallop circle twice to create my card base. I scored die at 1 inch on the back, and this creates my card base for me. For the topper, I die cut a smaller white circle, and then with that same smaller die, I die cut a circle from acetate, and then again using the same smaller die and an even smaller one, which is a scalloped edge, I die cut the holographic frame. For the background behind the cupcake on the acetate, I used the die which I've used so many times before in my videos. I love this die. It's the 6x6 Quattro background die by Creative Craft Products. I really love using this die. So beautiful. And I die cut it with double-sided sticky adhesive attached to the back of the card, so I could stick it onto my acetate, and I just got all the excess away. Then I've die cut all the bits of the cupcake from white card, and I colored them in using alcohol markers, and these are the alcohol markers by Creative Craft Products. So the colors I used, if you're interested, are all these here that I used. And I colored in the base of the cupcake as well. Then I layered this up and I adhered it to my acetate. And then I added a foam strip. I have these very thin strips which fit perfectly behind this frame, and I filled out behind the cupcake as well. I added my shaker elements on to the background. I'm not sure if you can pick up, they are lovely tiny little holographic stars, yellows, blues and pinks. Then I adhered my frame around it, just using some double-sided tape behind the frame again, as well as behind the cupcake. To decorate this card, I wanted to die cut the cherry, which is this one, the sprinkles, which are these two, the flowers and the hearts from holographic cardstock. But I did not have any colored holographic cards, so what I did, I colored over just plain silver holographic card with the darkest shade of each that I used for the coloring in the cupcake. So So I used the darkest shade of each that I use for coloring in the cupcake to add the color to my holographic card, and then I was able to die cut from them. And how beautiful is that? It's such a lovely way to add color to a holographic card. I do love holographic cards, but I wouldn't have all these colors in my stash. So this is a really easy way to make your holographic card custom colored to fit your card. How cool is that? For the birthday wishes, I used the Moonstone Elegant Sentiments Lovely Wishes die set, and this is this one here with the matching die. I just stamped it with black VersaFine ink, cut it out with the matching die, and popped it up on foam pads. And this finishes my card. How cute is this? Shows beautifully, and it's such a lovely one. I really love this sweet little cupcake. And for card number 3, I created this square card. It's a 5 3/4 of an inch top folding square card, and I added a 5 5/8 of an inch square gold mirror card on top of that. Then I cut my next panel to 5 1/2, is it? To 5 1/2 square, and this was just white panel on which I ink blended squeezed lemonade and white honey. And then I used a stamp. This is a new stamp in my stash, which I just ordered from Chloe's Creative Cards, and it's such a lovely one. It's the Falling Sparkles. And I've heat embossed this using polished gold embossing powder. And then I came in with my fine tip glue bottle, and I added a little glue onto every single dot on this. It took me a while, but it's so effective, because then I sprinkled crystalline glitter on it. So now you can see when it dries how lovely and sparkle that is. Again, stay tuned for the close-ups at the end, because it will be so worth seeing it in a gorgeous real sparkle. And for this one here, this one started off as a 5 1/2 by, I think it was 3 inch tall. It doesn't really matter because you will be cutting the top bit away. But 5 1/2 by 3 inch tall white piece of card. And the numbers are from the alphabet die set from Simply Made Crafts, the 4 and the 0. And this fabulous die and the fabulous die is from the Birthday Sentiment Builder by Chloe's Creative Cards. This is, I think, one of the first sentiment builders I had from her. And this one has lots of stamps, but I didn't use those today, only the dies, which spells fabulous. So it comes with an outline die and a detailed word die. To partially die cut, I used the outline die of the fabulous and the number 40 in here, and I've run it through my die cutting machine, again only partially die cutting, so I left the top bottom bits overhanging. And then for the numbers I used the dies, the 4 and the 0 from this die set, and I run it through the die cutting machine all at once. So the way I do this is the top cutting plate, I use the Gemini die cutting machine, but the top cutting plate only reaches up to this point in here, so it does not cut anything that the top cutting plate is not touching. But it is really explained step by step in the tutorial in the magazine. And then what I done, I die cut this 3 more times and the numbers as well, and I glued them behind it, as well as some paper strips to add behind this area here to make it nice and even level height with the fabulous 40. And then I glued it onto this yellow panel, which I attached to the card base. I die cut a couple more strips of gold card, and this is 1/4 of an inch and 1/8 of an inch. And I added glitter to the number 40, just using dry clear glue and some crystalline glitter, and then above and below that line. And then I added my rhinestones, blue rhinestones, in 2 of those corners. I think it is such a lovely and effective card. I love yellow. Yellow is my favorite color. So this card really stands out for me. My first idea was to use a silver embossing glitter for the falling sparkles, but when I ink blended it with yellow. I said, I think gold would look nice on this one. And it does. I have no regrets of using the gold. So I'm going to show you the 3 cards that I made. So this one was card number 3, card number 2, and card number 1. I would love to know if you like any of these and which one is your favorite. I'm going to leave some close-up footage and images for you now at the end of this video. I will be back very soon with another lovely tutorial or project, so make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and most importantly, hit the notification bell, set them to all notifications. Make sure you will get notified when I upload new videos, so you will not miss out them as they come in online. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you back soon. Bye!